Hey, everybody, Jake Gino here, and today we're discussing what's the better investment, multifamily apartment buildings or single-family homes. Gang, no surprise, and really everyone's dealing with it, that inflation is raging. It's causing people to look for alternative investments such as real estate as a hedge. Now, you may be one of those people, maybe saying, what do? Do I buy single-family apartments? Do I buy multifamily? I don't know where to start. Here's the deal. Everyone's appetite is different, but speaking from my own experience, my first investment was a 25-unit apartment complex, and I never looked back. But does my experience make it right for you? In order to answer this question, I've brought on the world's foremost authority on which is better, multifamily or single-family investments. Mr. Gino Barrow is in the house. So what say you? What is the better investment, multifamily apartment buildings or single-family rentals?
Stenzi, you've called me a lot of things. The foremost authority. That's a pretty good one. I
just called you Meester.
Or the G-Father, Meester. The foremost authority. All that Jake and I can really talk about is our experience with multifamily. And for me, very simple. When I was in the restaurant business years and years ago, I couldn't do single-family homes. I couldn't fix and flip. I already had a job. So for me, it was a natural inclination to get into multifamily, to start scaling up quickly, because it's much easier for me to buy that fourplex back in 2003, buy that fourplex, be able to manage it and still have a full-time job at the restaurant. And then my next deal was with Jake, the 25 unit. So you can see for me, it was much easier to scale up. Now with Jake and Gino, we create multifamily entrepreneurs. That is what our goal. To date, over 45,000 units the students have closed. Big shout out to the Jake and Gino community. That's over $3 billion in assets that they've closed. But it's important to understand that we're creating multifamily entrepreneurs. And I think multifamily allows us to do that at a much easier and a much better scale than single family homes. We've gone this year. We've closed a lot of smaller complexes this year, 21 unit, 25 unit, 40 unit, 18 unit, a 12 unit. They're all fantastic deals. But can you imagine closing 7 single family homes this month or closing one 20-unit apartment complex? I challenge you. Which one is easier? Down in the show notes, down in those comments section, let me know what you guys think. I really want your honest opinion of what you think, not your mindset, because Jake and I, when we started, we had that limiting belief. How do we get into multifamily? This is not a question about getting into multifamily or not, just thinking about the thought process. I want to really know, what do you think? Leave your comments down below. Is it easier or is it better multifamily or single family homes? I'm going to give you a couple other examples why I think multifamily for Jake and myself, our goals, what we wanted to aspire to, worked really well. The second one is the economy.
Are you saying multifamily is better?
I'm saying it for Jake and Gino and for the Jake and Gino community.
Oh.
I don't want to force anybody into thinking that way. But once we lay it out, the first one is, if you've got a 10-unit apartment complex and 2 people are not renting, you have 2 vacancies, you still have 80% of the complex up and running. You still are able to pay the mortgage through the cash flow. You have 1 or 2 single family homes, one of them is vacant. Guess what? You're probably going to be pulling money out of your pocket. Now, the other important, really important thing is, could you imagine, Jake, having 15 or 20 houses scattered all throughout the city, different layouts, different roofs, different hot water heaters, different sizes, different electrical, different driveways. There's 15 grass, lawns you have to cut. There's snow plowing. Or could you imagine a nice little 20-unit complex, or even a 25-unit that Jake and I purchased on our first deal? Much easier to manage. They're all individual boxes, same size, same appliances, same layout. You could technically have one person managing that. So think about your bandwidth, what you're focusing on. I think that's really important.
Sounds like you could create systems with that.
Systems, people, systems and culture. That's what you're doing. You want to become an entrepreneur. And I think multifamily will allow you to do that at a much larger scale. And then I think finally, I can continue to go on. Wealth creation, the refi and roll, you're able to do it with bigger numbers. And believe it or not, it's easier to get a loan on a larger property than it is a smaller property. Now, a lot of you out there are probably saying that's BS, limiting beliefs. Trust me, I tried to get a loan on my restaurant. I'll never forget this. It was a $650,000 refi on the restaurant. It was painful. Nobody wanted to do that work. But guess what? Mortgage brokers, they get paid a percentage of loans. So when you're looking at a 4 or 5 or 6 or a $10 million loan, they are more incentivized to do the same amount of work, but get paid a lot more money. That's really, really important. I never truly understood that. You have the cash flow aspect of it. And I think ultimately, the more people you serve, the wealthier you're going to get. If you have 10 or 12 or 15 single family homes, that's great. I applaud you. You're creating wealth. You're taking responsibility. You're building equity. But can you imagine if you had a 50-unit apartment complex and a 30-unit apartment complex, 2 deals, 80 units? You have 80 residents you're serving versus 15 or 16 residents in the single family homes. The more people you serve in your business, the wealthier you are going to get, Jake.
It's so true. And it's also the people you surround yourself with. And I want to speak to everyone out there. If you're on the fence or you're thinking about getting into multifamily, we have one event per year where we open it up to the general public, and that's Multifamily Mastery 5. Okay. This is the multifamily conference of the year. It's November 5th and 6th at the Gaylord Palms in Orlando. If you want to get around like-minded people and immerse yourself in what is multifamily investing and everything multifamily investing has to offer, we want to see you there. Amazing speakers, amazing guests. Wanted to put that out there real quick. Yes, G-Dad.
Yeah, Jake, one thing I'm going to give everybody a little tip on, even if you're in the single family space. Yeah. Listen, this was written for multifamily investors, buy right, manage right, finance right. But if you're still unwilling to give multifamily a shot, get the book. And it's for single family homes. Why? Because you still need to buy your single family home. You still need to finance it, and you still need to manage your property. So the framework does work for single family homes as well. But once you start seeing it and you start seeing the possibilities and going, wow, I never thought about this. How could I make my single family home portfolio hum a little bit better? Think about the buy right, manage right, and finance right. And this will really help you out. If you want a copy, just email me, Gino@jakeandgino.com. And I'd love to send you a PDF copy to your inbox.
Yeah, I think the points that you brought up are so relevant in today's market, especially because the management, everyone's struggling with good management. That's our blue ocean strategy. We think it's the biggest deficit in multifamily, especially when it comes to these mom and pop investments. When you're spread out all over town, multiple assets that are small, it's hard to get that care and really good high-level customer service when management's spread all over. And I think the biggest thing from a management perspective is you need a rock star, A++ maintenance tech to be able to go into these 1920s homes, 1960s homes, understand all the nuances where with multifamily, most of our product is 1980s or newer. It's very similar. So it's easy to train someone up quickly in how to go in and fix this stuff up. So that's really important. Scale and finance. Once you get over 10 of these things, when I'm talking single family residences, are you going to replace yourself? Do you have enough income to hire somebody? The list goes on. And then the financing becomes an issue because it's very time consuming doing multiple deals. And then all of a sudden you're saying, okay, now I'm personally guaranteeing most of this stuff. Whereas in the multifamily space, you can get non-recourse loans through Fannie and Freddie, and you can have an endless list of multifamily properties that you own that are off your balance sheet. So that's huge. And I can't stress the time factor enough. Gino alluded to the fact that we did a bunch of $3 million deals earlier this year. That ate our lunch. Usually if you do like a 150 unit, say $15 million deal, you're focused on it. It's the same amount of work as doing a smaller deal. So if you're stacking all of these small little single family deals into your portfolio, there's only so many hours in the day where if you did a big whale of a deal, same amount of time, and you're bringing on a huge team to support you, changes the game. Look, this is all about your objectives, what you want out of life. Maybe your market has some nuances. I'm just sharing the things that I like about it. But I think the most important one that I'm shocked the life coach, the G Papa Funk over there, did not mention is mindset. So much of this comes down to mindset. If you think you can do a single family home, you're probably going to go do a single family home. Once you get over that mental hurdle that multifamily investing is not a pie in the sky, the sea is going to part and your world is going to change because multifamily is adding zeros and it's actually easier than doing these smaller. The bigger the deal, it typically gets much easier. Okay. I know, and I'm saying that from my experience. In my personal experience, the bigger deals are easier because you're bringing a team and it takes just as much work to do a small deal as it does to do a bigger deal. And the bigger deal is going to add all these different benefits in terms of scale, resources, financing, the list goes on and on. So I think the mindset is key. I think you got to take the chance on it personally.
Let me wrap this up real quick. What Jake said, I want everyone to write this down on their vision board. ROE, return on effort. Not return on equity, return on effort. We've learned the hard way how it is to find the deal. If you're buying one single family home or a 10 unit, it's still the same effort. You're still doing one closing, but you have 10 renters. You have 10 people who are paying the mortgage on that deal. The second thing is if a pizza guy and a drug rep can start out with a 25 unit property, then you can. And the last thing, if it don't cash flow, let the grass grow.
Yeah. Sorry, say it again.
If it don't cash flow, you let the grass grow.
Gang, as always, we believe in buying deals with the ability to hold the deal for the long term. Think in decades. I'm Jake. He's the G Daddy, and we make it happen. We'll see you next time.